So the other day I created this little poll asking you how do you want this current video to be uploaded, because it's quite long. It's 90 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes, and essentially the discussion came to be like very interesting. And I think what I'm going to do with this upload is just like split it into two. So this is going to be part one, and what I'm going to do is add all the timestamps so you can really pick up on the conversation where you feel is more interesting for you. The main topic is addiction in gacha games and Bleach Souls, but we've been covering so many topics in this, like so many little topics in it, that it just makes for very interesting conversation. So I do recommend like listening to it from start to end. But if you prefer to just focus on certain segments, please feel free to do it. Timestamps in there. And anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you appreciate the content. Leave a like, let us know in the comments below if you'd like more of this, and let's go.
ぬるいジ・オールマイティは未来を改変する力だ。
まだ全然使いこなせちゃいねえけどな。
さあ
All right, good evening, guys, and welcome to this new podcast video with our featured guest, Inverse.
Good evening or good morning if you're on my side of the world.
Yeah, he's all the way in Australia, so it's morning time for him. So yes, we've seen your comments on the previous podcast video, and you guys liked it, so we thought we'd do like another format. And this time we're going to be talking about addiction. And well, we wanted to do addiction with gacha games, but we're just going to talk about the mechanisms that Klab used to create addiction in Bleach Souls. And for that, so just to give you a bit of context, Inverse has been playing Bleach Souls for a while now. Was it about 3 years?
Yeah, I kind of came in sort of mid 2017. I think that was second anniversary.
That was the golden age of Bleach Souls. So you joined at the best point possible, trust me.
But I sort of was playing that. I uninstalled it. Then I played Dokkan. I didn't like Dokkan, and then I came back and then pretty much at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, when guilds first came around, is kind of when I got into it. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So you've probably seen him. He's been pretty active on Reddit, Discord, YouTube, a bit everywhere, to be honest. Sadly, you have left the game recently for a number of reasons. But that doesn't mean that you don't follow the game and that you haven't been invested in the community for the time being.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that as a spectator, just like, we might be interested in watching football, but we don't want to actually play football. I think that I enjoy being a spectator because, like we said in the previous podcast, Bleach Brave Souls, if you want to be on top of it and you want to be competitive, is a very demanding game. Just like football is a very demanding game physically, Bleach Brave Souls is very demanding, maybe on your time, on your money, on your mental energy.
Psychologically, it's very demanding, and on your time, it's like a football. You play a game, you're down for like the next few hours. Bleach Brave Souls, you summon, you get shafted, you're done for the next week or so. So.
Exactly. So for me, it's nice to be a spectator, to watch and listen to what other people say. And I still watch all your videos because I like to see what people say about the game. So yeah.
Which is why you viewing this video right now should subscribe as well, so that you don't miss on this conversation and so on, right?
That's right.
This is why you help me on this. Anyway. That's like such a poor plug, but who cares? Anyway, so yes, today we want to talk about addiction. And the thing is, I've watched like I think it was this afternoon, I watched this video, which was very interesting. And the link's going to be in the description later. There's actually two videos I really recommend watching. First one is called How Gacha Games Get You Addicted. And the second one is called How Video Games Train You Like a Dog. Title is absolutely amazing. I love it. But this is the idea. And essentially what these videos are about, they discuss how game companies, and namely gacha game companies, implement a bunch of mechanisms in their game to really hook you up. So we know that it has some ties in your genetics. So like some people are more prone to addictive behavior than others, that's for sure. And then the thing is, they will create like different things in the game to really try and hook you up progressively. So the way it works is, it's a bit like a dealer, and this is what the guy says in the video, which is very interesting. it's a bit like a dealer. Like they give you a little taste of it. You know, it's like, hey, you started the game, have a bunch of orbs, feel like you're the richest man on earth. You have like, because I did a video on this one. Like when you start the game as a new player, you have about like 25, 30,000 free to play orbs that you can collect between raids, not raids, sorry, character raids, story mode, side stories, all like powering up characters, all of this. We have about 25 to 30,000 orbs. So honestly, you feel like you're a rich man when you join BBS. On top of that, the game gives you a bunch of resources. You start the game, hey, you get to choose a 5-star. Yes, it's an OG character, but you get to choose a 5-star. You finish completing like all the tutorials, boom, you get another 5-star ticket. So you feel like, look at me, like I'm getting the good stuff, like the good treatment and everything. Like Bleach is a free-to-play game. Yeah, sure, when you get started. But progressively, when you're past that curve of like wealth, this is where you enter the ouch period, where you start understanding how orbs are scarce. Missing a bunch of characters mean you cannot complete the game content behind which free-to-play orbs is being locked. That is epic raids, 100 orbs, awaken epic raids, 200 orbs. Point events, the grind is slower because you don't have the bonus units. Chronicle quests, you've got 50 orbs to unlock there. You've got some in PvP, but you can't get them because you just started the game, and so on. And
Senkaimon.
Senkaimon, you've got this the biggest place to get orbs. You've got 600 orbs, but as a new player, like as a not new, like mid-term player, like as soon as you've passed the spirit, well, you're gonna struggle with the towers and so on. So like the moment when you actually need the orbs, well, there's no more, and you can't get them because you're not strong enough. You don't have the what it takes to get those orbs locked behind some content that is artificially hard to achieve, unless you have that specific character that meets the bonus rules. And I made this video the other day. They introduced the dodge mechanic in the extra floor for Senkaimon for the first time. So what's the next step? This is going to come to the hard towers of Senkaimon in the normal floors.
So cool. Let's talk about how Klab fits into the wider industry. So one thing that I asked myself, like, you know, even years ago, is if Klab is so stingy with orbs, why do they allow you to get 30,000 orbs free to play when you first start the game? And I thought that it was a contradiction, like, how, you know, that you could get so many orbs and then the company is so stingy with orbs, like, you know, giving 5 orbs for compensation or whatever. But then once I started to think about it, it makes complete sense. And the business model or strategy is the free trial strategy, right? So
very true. That's very, very true.
So here's the idea, right? So let's suppose Disney, let's say for example, Disney Plus is a subscription service, and it might be I don't know how much it is, but let's just say it's $10 a month, whatever. And because you're not really interested in Disney Plus, but what happens is there's a free trial, and maybe the free trial might be for 6 months, and then you're not going to use it, but because it's free, okay, I'll use it. And then you start watching this show, and then you start watching that show, and you're like, wow, I can consume all this content for free. And then at the end of the 6 months, you're like, oh, it's finished. Oh, I don't have it now. And then you maybe don't have it for a month, and it's like, oh, I actually really miss this show. I really miss the service.
Withdrawal syndrome.
Yes. And then you know what? I'm going to subscribe to it now, and I'm going to start paying for it. Now, this is, I believe, exactly what Klab is intending with the 30,000 free orbs. They're giving you something for free, and they make you dependent on it. And that's why you're summoning on so many banners, and you do waste those orbs because you don't know any better if you're not a veteran. You waste those 30,000 orbs, and then you end up with 0 orbs, and you're like, I've got nowhere to go. But hang on, there's this beginner's pack, and it's only $5. Oh,
and
okay, well,
it's the best value in the game as well. Everybody will tell you in the community, if you have one thing you should buy, it's this one. But the problem is, the moment you do it, the moment you start putting some money in the game, that's it.
Yeah.
You've seen the beginner's pack, but then there's the character's pack, which is a little bit more expensive, and you guarantee the character. And then you've got this one, and this one, and that one, and that one, and then you're done for.
Yeah. So basically, Klab make you depend by giving you so many free-to-play orbs. They make you like get into this habit of spending. They condition you to spending in the game, so that when you have nothing, you are still spending, which is the temptation to spend money.
And the problem is, even if you try to reason yourself not to spend, they force you to spend because they introduce a problem and then they sell the cure. Like if you cannot just like rely on the characters that you currently have and enjoy playing with. You need to pull for that new character that has the dodge mechanic, because you're going to have content locked behind that mechanic now. And you need that character to be able to complete the content and get the rewards they need to progress further in the game. But did you just not get the dodge mechanic character? Well, sorry for you. We introduced a new mechanic. And if you don't, enemies are going to be like, they can't take hits from you otherwise. You need to get this new character. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to progress. So, well.
And this is a really common thing in industries as well outside of video games. Let's forget about video games. It's about obsolescence, right? So obsolescence is like, for example, you've bought the latest iPhone 12 and you've saved up for maybe a whole year to buy the latest iPhone 12. But then the there's the iPhone 13 that will come out, and it'll be the first one with this processor or graphics, chip in it or something like that, or have some display or something like that. And you don't need the new iPhone, you don't need the new product, but the obsolescence of, oh, it can't do something in 3D, or it can't open this file, or it can't take these types of photos, or it doesn't do 8K video. Even if you're not going to use it, the marketing makes you feel like you're missing out. And this is exactly, Klab are doing the exact same thing with their products, which is their characters, which is like, oh, Ginjo has this follow-up mechanic, you've spent all your orbs on the previous banner, but oh, you're missing out because you don't have this follow-up mechanic. Even though you don't actually need it, the marketing makes you feel like you're missing out.
And imagine this, you were talking about like program obsolescence. Imagine this, so Apple not long ago introduced this new audio codec, which is lossless audio. So you're gonna be able to have in Apple Music, lossless audio, but also 3D audio and Atmos audio, which is like a new experience where the sound comes from everywhere. It's like you're literally living with the sound around you. So it's absolutely fantastic. Problem is, not long ago, a few months ago, Apple introduced their new headphone, like their flagship headphone, which is $600, $700 something. It's the Apple headphones, the Apple Air Max or something like that. And the problem
I've seen them. They look crazy.
Yeah, but they're not compatible with this new audio format. So you just spent all that money, and then like Apple says, by the way, guys, we're gonna introduce this new like lossless format for free. Like if you used to use Tidal, which is one of the audio streaming platforms, you would pay like an extra bit of money to be able to unlock this new resolution of audio. Same thing for Netflix. You can pay an extra bit of money to unlock 4K instead of just like 1080p. Well, they said, you know what? We'll make it for free, no additional cost whatsoever. So people were like, hey, Apple is being generous. And then like a few days later, people start realizing that it's not compatible with like most of the devices they have. So like most of the devices that are currently out on the market from Apple, you bought the new AirPods, not compatible. You bought the new headphones from Apple, not compatible as well. So people are like, kind of like a stab in the back. And you bet that the next devices they release are going to be compatible with new formats.
Yeah. And so I think that this business practice is also happening in Bleach Brave Souls, because I mean, and it makes sense, it makes good business sense, but that's I guess part of the addiction part. And now another thing that I've thought about with the addiction, and this is a question for you, is why do you think Bleach Brave Souls, let's ignore the money aspect, right? Let's ignore the money aspect completely now. So why do you think Bleach Brave Souls is more addictive than, say, a AAA game such as Super Mario Odyssey or like Doom Eternal or the new Tomb Raider games, for example? Because why is Bleach Brave Souls so much more addictive than those games?
Two reasons. First one, and that's something very important, Gacha Games understood this. when your players are loyal fans of a franchise, like Bleach, for example, we're talking about like a franchise where people have been supporting it for years after the material, like the paper material was finished, after the video material, like the anime was gone. Anime was gone for ages, and people are still supporting it like endlessly and endlessly. That shows you a level of dedication that is unparalleled. Like you've got very few franchises where people still have this level of support for the franchise, even though there's no more material about it. I'm talking about Hunter x Hunter, for example, where everything stopped a while ago and people are still wanting it. I'm talking about Bleach right now. So first of all, we're talking about like diehard fans of a franchise that have unconditional love for the universe that's been created. That's one thing. Second thing is, in comparison to those games, we're talking about a completely different format. This gacha format didn't exist before. So all those AAA games were created with a beginning and an end. You had
Yeah.
a playtime available. Like this is like no matter which one of those games you buy, you would play it for a given period of time, and then you can only like, just like make things a bit faster and stuff. But there's no new content. It's like the whole you purchase the content once. This is everything you're going to have available. There's not going to be anything new. You don't really have the DLC system happening. Now it's happening a little bit, but even DLCs, like I'm looking at Pokemon Sword and Shield and
Sword and Shield, yeah.
you buy your DLC, good, but it's also limited. Like you buy for you extend the duration of play by a bit, but then you've reached all
the expansion pack, really. You know, expansion packs have been around for at least 20 years.
Yes, but even with expansion packs, you reach the end the end of it, the end of the content available for yourself. The difference in gacha games, we're talking about a living thing. That thing is living and evolving by the day. That thing is taking you for years. Like you're not like all those games that you've bought, you haven't played them for 5 years. Like I would not log in religiously for 1900 days in a AAA game like I have with Bleach Souls.
Exactly.
Yeah, never. And I don't think that anyone has seen it coming either. No one before like this whole era of gacha games has ever thought that someone will religiously log in for like 1900 days, 2000 days into a mobile game. Not even like a console game, a mobile game, which is even crazier because everybody's like, no, gaming happens on console, gaming happens on PC. And if you say like, I'm a mobile gamer, people will be looking at you and be like, you? Did you just put like mobile and gaming in the same sentence? Like, you're a funny one. No, that's not how it is. And now it is an actual thing. Mobile gaming is an actual thing, and mobile gaming is actually making a lot of money. Mario, you mentioned, Mario Kart has come as a gacha game now. All those like AAA studios are considering moving into gacha gaming because it just makes a lot more money. And what makes money is the mechanics of a gacha game. And the thing is, those new entrants do not need to convince you about how it works because people are now enslaved about the gacha mechanics. They will just accept it. It's like it is what it is. And if you're a new entrant into the gacha world, and everybody else around you will tell you this is how it is. So it's like you conform to it and you have to accept it. This is what it's going to be like. And going back to what you said about like the 30,000 orbs in Bleach Souls, it's not that they give you the free trial because free trial is you get like a standard experience. So free trial means if you have like a free trial on Netflix, you're not going to get any better treatment than someone who's been a Netflix subscriber, paid subscriber for like 10 years. You're going to be exactly on the same level. The difference with gacha games is as a newer player with your 30,000 orbs, you feel like a wealthy man. So you develop spending habits that you will not be able to afford in the future, no matter how much you spend, unless you really will, but you will not be able to afford this. So you get like involved in a lifestyle. You get to discover, to appreciate, to taste a lifestyle in that game that you will not be able to maintain no matter what. You won't.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
it's an edge compared to all the players that are suffering getting orbs. And you're like, I don't understand what you're talking about because like I keep having orbs everywhere. You know, it's easy. Like I've
yeah, exactly.
even the 4 stars, the 3 stars, everything is new. So I don't understand. And then one day, what happens like is that brutal. One day, there's this one banner. You grind like the last bits of your orbs, and then you realize that, oh wow, I'm just like everybody else. So this is how it goes as a gacha game. It just goes up like this, high life, and then all of a sudden it just drops like this, and then you go to everybody else.
Yeah.
Unless you spend some money.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why when I was playing the game, I set aside a budget and I used to spend a little bit each month because I could not my the way I play the game and my spending lifestyle, I could not keep up with the game unless I spent, a couple of $100 a month on these packs and stuff. And I didn't mind it. I budgeted for it, I accounted for it. But yeah, I definitely, that was my thing. The free to play was way too slow for me. And at the end of the day, it was a little bit of an investment every month. But it was all right because I enjoyed the game. I loved the game, so I don't regret it. But it definitely, the free to play was definitely too slow, and they know that they deliberately make the free to play orbs so slow. Now, and one thing that, oh, sorry, you want to continue?
No, just a quick one on that one. And I need to mention this, it is possible to go from spending back to free to play. And I've been doing it for like the past 3 months now, and I'm really happy about it. It's really made my experience of the game a lot more enjoyable because I feel less enslaved to the game. I feel like completely free to it. Like I decide what I want to pull and stuff. And like right now, like, and I'm really happy to show it. Like right now I have like, you're not going to see it. No, maybe if I put it, nah, that's bad.
Basically, you've shown it on other videos anyway. Yeah,
I show it on most videos now. I have like 5,200 orbs almost. And out of these, 5,000 are free. I got 5,000 free orbs. And like on the, no, what was it? The movie banner. Remember the movie banner? I was down to 400 orbs. I had 490 orbs after some money on the movie banner, the rerun. And now I have 5,200 orbs, among which 5,000 free. It is doable. It is completely doable.
Yeah. It's all about your mindset. And the fact that you've been able to remove yourself from that need to keep spending, is really admirable. And that's the reason why I quit and you didn't, is because for me, it wasn't so much an addiction. It was so much like, if I can't keep up at this rate, which I could afford to keep spending the money in the game. I just chose not to. And at the end of the day, my options were, just because of my personality, I stay in the game and I spend a little bit each month, or if I don't spend money in the game, then I don't want to play the game. I don't actually want to play the game if I don't spend money, a little bit of money. But you found the middle ground, which is where you're going to continue playing and not spend money, which is, in terms of managing your own personality and your own expectations, that's the ultimate position to be in.
Because, like, I got to a point, and I got to a point where I was like, spending $80 on 2 multis that are potentially going to reward me with like 4 stars was like, this is what I was telling myself, like spending $80 on, for me, it's like 75 pounds. Spending $80 on 2 multis that potentially will reward me with nothing was acceptable, but spending that money on a dinner out was too expensive.
Exactly. Oh my God, I completely understand.
This is the most messed up thing ever. Like when you think about it afterward, you're like, wow. Like it felt so acceptable for me to spend that money on BBS, but everything else, I had like my scale of spending, my scale of like what is acceptable and what is not. And I would not be able to justify spending the same amount of money on other things. So I would be spending, for example, like 200 pounds here, like 400 pounds here, and find it completely okay. But then I would find it really expensive to spend that money on a wise investment or something like a lot wiser.
Yeah, I have to respectfully disagree with you, Khool, there, because I think that this is
it's fine. Just
this is actually a bit of this is a real philosophical thing, which is a little bit outside the scope of today's topic, but just very, very briefly, the concept of value and happiness, like the saying goes, you know, the value or beauty is in the eye of the beholder, or in this case, value is in the eye of the beholder. I think at the end of the day, if you have X amount of dollars, if you have $100, and if a few multis or a ticket in BBS brings you more happiness than a nice dinner out or skydiving, that's all that matters. Happiness is the ultimate goal. And I think that how you judge that is very personal. And I don't think there is a right or wrong. There is no right or wrong when it comes to happiness, but that's a really, really philosophical thing. So I think if you made those decisions that £75 on a couple of multis gave you more personal happiness than a dinner out, then I think that as long as that made you happy, that was the right choice. That's what I believe.
The problem is it didn't. I thought it made me happy, but it didn't. And this is what gets tricky to think. And this is what I'm talking about, the addiction. They make you think that certain things are acceptable versus others. They make you think that if you, it's all about the dopamine. We're going to come back to this one in a second. But they make you think that, you know, the enjoyment you get from the chance of potentially getting something for that high price is a lot better than a real life experience that you're going to enjoy. You know, I used to think that I put my money where my mouth is, and that, like, given the amount of time that I spend in BBS, it's only normal that I pay kind of a subscription. Like the money I spend is kind of like a rent for me, like enjoying the game so much and spending so much time.
Totally.
But this is like me justifying why I'm putting money into the game, which is completely wrong. Like I shouldn't be enslaved to a game, or I shouldn't be like thinking that I need to spend that money as a thank you for the enjoyment I have in the game and so on. Like, no, like I shouldn't be thinking this way. And the problem is because I have been enslaved into thinking that a lot of the things that happen in this game, like, create happiness in me, which is not true. My happiness right now in this game is actually spending time with the community, just like having all the people around. This is where I get happiness from. Two, it's about accepting fate, accepting that you will not be able to win this game. Like no matter what you do, you cannot win this game. They will always add new things, new content, new everything. You like, so if you start with the mindset like I can win this, you are losing. So just accept it is what it is. You're probably not gonna get what you want. So if you get it, actually just appreciate 10 times more, because if you don't expect it and you get it even though you don't expect it, well, that makes you so much more happy. But then you have to also accept that the next time you may not get anything. But the problem is that people think that if I got something now, I expect to get something the next time as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's the trap that I fell into as well, because I found what I was finding was, because I was saving by not summoning on seasonals, and I was grinding the game very competitively, and then I was buying the packs, you know, and I was doing Tapjoy as well, so I was getting extra orbs. I was almost always able to get something that I wanted 90% of the time, but that one thing that broke me was when I always had extra dupes for transcendence points, and then I lost all of my transcendence points in one day, and that from dupes that I had literally saved over years. Sorry?
It was about 2 million transcendence points or 3 million.
2 million transcendence points and I still couldn't even get a 3-star SP. And that's when I realized, and I spoke to you about this on the phone, which is like, I could theoretically buy orbs if I wanted to, not like I should, you know, but I'm not wealthy, but I'm also doing okay. I could buy orbs if I wanted to and get packs, and, you know, and eventually banners come back, and I'm like, but I can't recuperate 3 years worth of old characters that I've saved in my box, you know, not without spending like tens of thousands of dollars on the game, which is ridiculous. And I'm like, and this is when I came to realize, just like you said, there will always be something that I can't achieve. And that was, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back for me. And it's exactly right. If you have this mindset of perfection, and the thing is, us old school gamers, a lot of us have this idea of perfection because games were traditionally designed with a beginning and an end, like you said, right?
Pokemon, you could catch them all. Like we've been trained, funny thing, we've been trained with the idea that, you have a finite set and that
Yes,
you catch every single Pokemon. And what made Pokemon, especially like what really like helped kickstart Pokemon in Europe was the legend about Mew and the fact that Mew wasn't the games, but you couldn't really catch it. It was behind that like truck.
you had to go to Toys R Us.
All this. So it's like we've been in that mindset where we've grown up with games that we could complete 100%. Another example,
Yeah.
simple,
Without even spending money.
without spending money. Mario, in I think it's don't like in Mario you have a percentage that shows you the completion that you have in the game, right?
Donkey Kong is a classic one with percentages. Banjo-Kazooie, they're collectathons, right?
All correct. All those games have percentages. They show you how much Rayman has, like, or it basically it shows you like how far you're along the completion of the game. Or all those games, like I'll talk about Rayman, for example. Rayman, in each level, you have the amount of coins that you can collect for that level. You know, like how you have like all those games with levels and you can collect like coins or whatever, and that adds up and you have to a finite number. So like on each level, you have a finite number of collectibles that you can reach. So that triggers you and that trains you to this like completionist mindset where
Exactly.
you can actually get a full completion. Like you can fully complete this if you wanted to. So when you've been trained this way for years and years and years in games, you have this mindset where you want to finish, you want to get to the end, you want to have it all, you can have it all. And that's why for the longest time, like I was after completion in Bleach Brave Souls, like I had like 97, 98% character completion, which is absurd. And now I just don't care anymore. And it's really hard to make this move from I want to get them all, I don't want to miss on any of them characters, to now I just miss on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, and so on. I was talking with Hisoka before he left the game, and I was talking with Xeros as well. And like they were very competitive in Guild Quest. And I told him, the only way for you to break free from the game is to miss Guild Quest once. If you miss your Guild Quest once, you're gonna drop in the rankings, and that you cannot get it back. Once you accept that it's okay to do this, you will break free from that cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
One Guild Quest, drop from the rankings because rankings create artificial pressure. You need to maintain, you need to do better, you need to get out of this, get out of the pressure, get out of the artificial pressure, play for enjoyment, don't play for rankings, for competition, play at your own pace, play within your own means. Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't spend money on the game. You can spend money on the game, but spend wisely. Well, there's no wise spending in the game, but I mean, play.
I think you can budget for it. You've got an income, you have your bills. I think you can budget for it. You can put a certain amount money aside.
That's what I thought. This is how the problem is. This is how it starts. You start and you budget for it. You're like, I have a job, I have some disposable income, I can definitely invest that income into the game because, like, what do I enjoy doing in my free time? I enjoy going out with my friends. I enjoy going for brunch on the weekend. I enjoy doing this. Great. I also enjoy playing that game because when it's my own time, my free time, I'm on my phone playing Bleach Brave Souls. So Bleach Brave Souls procures me some enjoyment as well. So why not spending money there? Because it's also enjoyment for me. The problem is, and this is what I realized, the budget that I had in mind and the budget that I had set for myself all the way until the end of 2019 was fine. But then in 2020, they introduced the step-up format. And that budget that I had wasn't enough. I was falling behind. I would get this with the budget that I had up until 2019. And then 2020 came, And this was now this.
Yeah, because of the transcendent system.
No, because of the step-up format.
Right, okay.
First of all, because step-up meant like we had like less chance of getting the characters that we wanted. We had like mid-month banners at 3% where you're guaranteed to get the character. So if you had a 5-star, you knew it was new. No, it's not.
Yeah, that's true.
Now you have the transcendent system where at the time when you had one character, when you like managed to pull this new character, shiny new character, amazing. You managed to put him 10, 10, 10, amazing. He can do anything in the game. You've got a busted character, state of the art. Now, this is worthless. If you don't have him 5/5, it's worthless. I'm not saying like you need to have like 5/5 characters and everything, but what I'm saying is,
but it's the way you make yourself feel. It's the message that the voice inside your head makes you feel like they're useless.
Which is the wrong thing, because technically you shouldn't need this. Like the game is not that hard. Problem is the game is not hard, but because they set rules around certain characters specifically, the game becomes artificially hard because you need to create workarounds to be able to do the same thing that would be so easy to achieve with a regular like 150, like a level 150 character, no link slots in normal condition when he meets all the rules.
Yeah.
One level that you could achieve with this like brand new character that meets all the rules, you can barely make it with this like 2020 characters, 5/5, whatever.
Yeah. So let's move away from personal pressure, right? Because we've been talking about the pressure that we place upon ourselves for completionists and stuff, and that's probably the biggest part of addiction. But I now want to talk about external pressure, right? And I think that the introduction of guilds in January 2020, sorry, not 2020, 2018, was if you don't put pressure on yourself and you don't care about yourself, you'll be letting down your friends. And then it was an emotional blackmail.
Yes, guilds have been both the best and the worst thing to happen in the game. Because guilds started bringing together the community, because you had to form groups of 20 people. So instead of being your isolated safe, like at the time, for example, I used to go on Reddit. I was on YouTube. I used to go on Reddit, fine. I wasn't using Discord at all. And the only way for me to be in a guild and so on, like people were telling me like, go on Discord. Everybody's on Discord. It's on Discord. So guilds moved me to Discord. Like it's because of the guilds that I discovered Discord.
Oh, me too. I didn't even know what Discord was until the guilds.
And I fought it for the longest time ever. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna get there. I'm using Reddit. I want to stay on Reddit. Let me be on Reddit, you know. But then I discovered Reddit, and I was like, wow, this is where everybody is. There's people, there's a community, there's all this, and then you feel part of a bigger group. But when you're part of this one group, which is your guild, you've got the pressure, because the problem is you have the rankings. So even if you didn't really care about other rankings or whatever, now you have rankings between people that you actually know, because before that you had rankings with the whole
randoms. Yeah, people you don't care about.
Exactly. You don't care about XYZ who are in the rankings. Who cares? But now you're competing with 19 other people that you get to chat with every day. That you
do co-ops with.
That you play with, that you do a lot of things with. So that makes it a lot more personal. So if you were not in our rankings before, now that got a whole more personal for you.
Because even if it doesn't matter to you, what about the 19 other people? You know, if you don't want to play Guild Quest or something, you are going to be responsible for your friends not getting 80 orbs because they're going to demote next week or something like that.
And the second problem with this is exactly this, which is at some point, just playing Guild Quest was not enough. You needed to play better because other people were playing better and other people were playing better. And so it's no longer about your performance within that group, even if you don't care about a competition. The problem is that now there's a price to you being able to hang around those 19 other people. And that price is if your performance is bringing the group down, the whole group is going to be impacted by you. And that's going to create pressure on you.
Now, that's not necessarily to say that pressure and demands are necessarily a bad thing. It's a bad thing if it's outside of your means. So for example, if you have work to do. If you have a family, you have children to raise, and there's a certain someone that I'm thinking about, Khool, that I think you know who I'm talking about. You know, you've got, you know, if you've got a family to raise, you've got children, you've got a business, and
I know
you,
who you're talking about, but I also remember Jumzin, who's one of the French players. He had like a family of 7 of his own.
yeah,
Beautiful
yeah.
family. The guy was like, I love the guy. Like he had like a beautiful family. He was taking care of them. He was a day one player as well, which is very rare. And he had to quit like I think 200 days ago, 300 days ago. I still have him, my friend, list just so I can see like when he hasn't logged in, like how many days hasn't logged in for, and so just out of like old time's sake, I would say I just kept him there. But yeah, no, I know.
Like at the end of the day, for example, with me, like I'm living by myself, you know, I don't have family with me. I don't have children. You know, I'm on my own. And at the end of the day, I can afford in terms of time to play the guild quest every day, to grind this, to do that, to go on the Discord and all of that. You know what I'm saying? But so the pressure is okay, A, if it doesn't eat at you emotionally, and B, it doesn't take away from your responsibilities. But I think once it takes away from your enjoyment and your responsibilities, then that's where it's a really unhealthy thing, in my opinion.
Exactly.
But it can be managed. Pressure is not a bad thing. Pressure is what drives us to achieve things and to give meaning in our life. If there was no pressure, we would all just die from being lazy. You know what I'm saying? So a little bit of pressure is fine, but there's a balance.
Yes, pressure is what creates the drive. It's not really pressure, it's like need. So like, for example, like if we go back to just essential needs, you know, like how you have like Maslow's theory of needs, where you have the most basic needs at the bottom, and then it goes all the way up to self-actualization at the very top. And the idea is like, if you don't even have shelter, or if you don't even have enough food and stuff like that, which are the first step in the pyramid, why would you care about like socializing and like more philosophical things when you don't even meet like the most basic needs, which is like having shelter, having food, having those kind of things. So it's the same thing here, which is if this is like, because you need to meet those, like another thing, if we were, for example, self-sustainable, so like if we didn't need to eat, if we didn't have any need to sleep or whatever, we would not be doing anything, because of the need to eat, we needed to start hunting. But because we started hunting, we needed to also have people like, so we need to work socially to do everything, because we can't do everything by ourselves. So that brought us to be social and like organize our time, because the day is limited until 24 hours. We need to have time for resting. We need to have the time for hunting. So we need to organize ourselves. And this is how like society starts building themselves. But that's a whole other topic if we go in that direction. But guilds is a very interesting one, indeed, in terms of like creating pressure. But there's another topic that we discussed like before the start of the video, which was, you know, like all those little like sound and video effects that they put in the game to increase your dopamine levels and get you addicted. Because the way it works, again, it's like, you know how a dealer gets you into their hook. Oh, another one, quick one. There's a very interesting book, which is, I think, hook theory, or no, how to form habit forming products. Also, I think it's a hook theory, or how to form habit forming products. And the idea is like, you have like 3 or 4 phases in terms of how you create this like hook in people, where essentially like if you repeat a behavior for a duration of 28 days, it becomes part of your habits. And then it's just ingrained in you. And that's like why they have things like dailies. Dailies that reward you with 5 orbs are like driving you back to the game so that you complete this task and then you leave. Guild Quest, they realized at some point that dailies were not good enough, because at some point they were like, yeah, I can't be bothered with like those like 5 PvP battles, or I can't be bothered to do this for like just 5 orbs or whatever.
Exactly.
So Guild Quest, if you miss your Guild Quest, you are actually gonna look bad in the eyes of like this group of friends that you have. So it's no longer about you missing out on 5 orbs. It's you looking bad in the eyes of like your friends. There's 19 other people in the group.
And of course, from evolution, we are social creatures. And one thing that we have, like by evolution and by design, if we don't care about ourselves, one thing that is ingrained within us is that if we don't fit into our social group, that is a very, very negative thing.
It's the sense of belonging.
Yeah, that's a really, really powerful one.
And the problem is belonging has a price in Bleach Souls. Like I remember when like things started getting more competitive with Guild Quest, it was all about, you know, like if I don't get this, like I saw all the guilds do this, like they had to get rid of people just because the scores were not good enough. And the problem is they were with those people for a while, especially because what happened, and that's even more cruel, Klab did not release Guild Quest straight away. They first released guilds where there was no ranking, no competition. It was just like you gather as friends, you just do what you do, and you're gonna get more levels for the guild, and that's it. Everybody's on the same level. You don't have any dailies. Even if you miss your dailies, who cares? It doesn't really matter. So you get together as friends, you form communities, everybody gathers in groups. And then all of a sudden, Klab introduces a ways to take us apart, to split us. Competition, this competition game, which is Guild Quest. And then you start like realizing that just like being together and friends is not good enough. Now you also need to have certain requirements, get to certain scores in order to be able to stay within that group. Problem is, especially with Guild Quest V1, if you had an older device, you were automatically relegated to like lower leagues because you couldn't compete. Like your device was not powerful enough to allow you to do this. So device was a big thing. And it was a lot about skill as well. So if you didn't have like all those things or didn't have the time to do like the hours of resets to get to the S leagues, you were.
That's true. There was a lot of dependence on physical aspects such as reflexes, motor speed, concentration, stamina. Now, not so much, which is a good thing in a way, in my opinion. I think there's more mental skill in terms of building it, but it's more about, you know, what characters you have as opposed to how fast your fingers are. But that's a different thing.